more love, more joy, everything.
It's inspired young people.
Inspiration comes from within you. When you clear out the garbage that's in your mind, you then create space for something better, more beautiful to come in.
Let's have life and have it more abundantly.
I say yes.
It's like taking a workshop. I get to be in my pajamas.
We have a very active imagination, which is why it's important to learn how to harness it and then point it in the direction you want to go.
I listen to your show every day.
It's time now for Living Your Inspired Life with Susan Burrell. Susan is no-nonsense, inspirational, motivational, and fun.
This is positive talk radio.
Practical wisdom for everyday life.
It's a gift you give yourself.
Now, here's Susan.
Hello, I'm Susan Burrell, and you're listening to Living Your Inspired Life on News Talk 1590 KVTA, and I just welcome you to this hour. We're going to have a really amazing conversation. We're continuing talking about crossroads. And if you haven't heard the show up until now, you can go to the website, livingyourinspiredlife.org, and you can click on show at the top of the website. We've redone the website, so you just need to go and see what it looks like anyway. It looks fabulous. But go and click on show, and you can get caught up on the previous shows talking about Crossroads, talking with Terry Cole Whitaker. And then now we're going to be talking today with a really amazing man who is just doing some awesome work in the world, has been for quite a long time. I want to introduce you to Brock Travis. Hi, Brock.
Hi, Susan.
Hi. So one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show, Brock, is because I know you've been doing a lot of work in your personal practice. You have a spiritual oriented coaching practice, and I know you've been doing a lot of work with people on caregiving and recovery, and you were sharing with me before we got on air that you're noticing that a lot of your clients are going through this time of life where they're at a crossroads, whether it's a divorce or a death or an empty nest. So talk a little bit about what you've been seeing out there in the world with some of your clients.
What I'm seeing is that a lot of people in middle age come into a period of crisis. It could be a loss of job, a loss of home. It could be a divorce. It could be, losing someone to death. And they, people can get sick from that. They can be stressed from that. And of course, sometimes that takes us out. But if we stay with it, then the personal catastrophe can become a spiritual opportunity, and people can create a new life.
Okay, so I heard you say if we stay with it. So, okay, I know when I'm in crisis, don't want to so much stay with it. I rather either escape or, dive into something that just makes me numb. So what do you mean by stay with it? Because I think that kind of makes me nervous. It makes me nervous.
Well, often people want to distract from any kind of changes or stress. They want to get involved in maybe some addictive process or
okay, so mine is watching reruns on television.
Mine tends to have something to do with sugar. But if we can let ourselves embrace our own heart, our own mind, our own being, then we can be with our true self as we're going through some kind of crisis, and it will tend to unfold beautifully and perfectly.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because in my work with some of the clients that I have, they come to me and they don't even know at this point who their true self is when they come into these kinds of situations. Even if it's like a death, observing a loved one dying, everybody tends to get lost in these crises within themselves or outside of themselves.
My sense is that that's a global issue. Actually, ancient shamans used to think that the primal disease is loss of self or loss of soul, where people lose touch with their true being. And I would say that is still the main issue faced by everyone. And we don't really help people find their way back to their real self.
Until now.
Yeah,
because you're helping people find their way.
Yes,
I'm helping people
find. Yes, but we as a culture, for instance, when you're in high school, nobody asks you, who are you really and why are you in the world? That question is never asked. I used to ask that when I was teaching college classes in psychology, and people were stunned. No one had ever asked them those questions. And just to have a little time and space in the flow of your life where you're looking into your own depths and trying to get a sense of who you are and what you're doing is really precious. And this kind of universal crisis that people are going through, especially perhaps the boomer generation, about our parents. We have to take care of our parents.
I feel like a gooey sandwich. I got to tell you, I got
Yeah.
a teenager in college,
Right.
and then I got my folks.
Yeah, and in my own case, in one season, my late wife was stricken with cancer. My mother succumbed to dementia. My father committed suicide. My son lost his job, and we had to help him. And
Oh my God,
grandson,
honey.
my grandson had to go through that, and then I had to walk away from my job in order to take care of my wife, and we had to walk away from the house. It almost went underwater, and then things kept going from there. So I learned a few things about this issue, this set of issues, and I found that spirituality provides skills and ideas for dealing with that, and like I said, transforming a personal catastrophe into a spiritual opportunity.
So define your idea of spirituality for our listeners. What does that mean to you?
I'm at the point where I'm beginning to feel that it's very, very important to make a distinction between spirituality and religiosity. It's certainly possible to be religious without being spiritual, and it's also certainly possible to be spiritual without being religious. I would say that maybe the basic approach to spirituality would be consciousness, to become more aware of who you are and what you're doing, and certainly that opens up other dimensions of our being and of our life.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you're talking about mindfulness. That's a component of it, yeah?
Okay, let me say a little bit about mindfulness. First off, people tend to think that mindfulness is a Buddhist thing. They actually also talked about it in Hinduism, and there's even a Judeo-Christian version. In Deuteronomy, they say watchfulness at the gates of the heart. Watchfulness at the gates of the heart.
Ooh, I like that.
And that's Moses talking. So in the Dhammapada, the Buddha says heedfulness is the path to the deathless. And I actually like that word heedfulness and those words heedfulness and watchfulness a little bit better than mindfulness, because mindfulness makes it sound like it's all in your head, and it's really just attention to what's happening, attention to the present, being responsive to what is actually presenting itself to us. And so I would say that is probably the basic technique or method of spirituality, just becoming conscious.
Okay, so how do you do that? Because I got my idea of how you do that. I mean, okay, so I've read Thich Nhat Hanh and a few others and Pema Chodron, and they talk about this idea of being mindful and being present with what is, whatever the emotion is, whatever the body feeling is, and all that stuff. And, a practice is to be completely aware as one thing, as you're washing your dishes, say, and just putting all your attention on washing one dish at a time. Now, see me, I multitask. I'm making my to-do list for the next day while I'm watching the rerun that is my addictive behavior, as I'm washing the dishes, and then possibly also talking on the telephone. So can you see where that, and this is how I think our culture is. If, especially with technology, if you can't do 5 things at once in the exact same minute, then you're falling behind everybody else, right? You're not on track to success or whatever they believe.
Right. That makes me laugh because the other day my partner came to meditation. We practice meditation every morning, and she comes in and she says, I have to bring my phone to meditation because the cable company might call. And that made us both laugh because everyone is kind of in that predicament. Everyone has tension between home and job, between love and work, between career and family. And if you try to bring spirituality into that, because that is actually the way to find balance and the peace between those in those conflicts, then it sometimes seems like you're adding another thing, like, oh my God, I have my career,
Right.
I have my family, and now I'm going to try to add prayer and meditation. It's just another chore in the day. And that's I think, an error. Meditation, prayer, spiritual practice, they start with some kind of technique, like sitting and paying attention to your breath and paying attention to your feelings and paying attention to your thoughts. Actually, I want to say finding your breath, feeling your feelings.
Oh, thank you, because I just stopped breathing when you said paying attention
Right.
to your breath. I went, ugh.
Right. Finding your breath, letting it get a little bit deeper, feeling your feelings and holding them in kindness, and watching your thoughts and perhaps waiting for wisdom. You know, that is a kind of a basic transformational way to go. And it probably is best to start that with sitting in some kind of stillness. But ultimately, you're going to need that. You're going to need a little bit of wisdom and a little bit of kindness in the middle of an argument or in the middle of an accident, in the middle of your busy, crazy, work and home life. And so really, we're not just talking about meditation as a set of techniques or methods. We're talking about meditation as a way of life, a way of being present, resting in your own being, meeting the needs that arise, responding to the demands of the moment, attending, being conscious. And it's good to practice, but ultimately that's our life.
Well, and everything you just said is what you're... So let me just repeat back to you what I think I heard you say. So, Brock, what you just said was part of the meditative practice. Say you're sitting for 20 minutes, and it's everything about watching your breath and being kind to yourself about the thoughts that you're having and all of that. And then as we begin to develop that muscle, if you will, then it expands out into the other areas of your life. Because you said then you can use it when you're in a crisis and dealing with something.
Exactly. Like, for instance, I cross my legs and close my eyes. I let myself breathe deeply, and I do that every day. I've done it every day for many, many years. But if it stops there, if once I unfold my legs and open my eyes and open my mouth and start walking around moving my hands, if the wisdom and the kindness stops there, it's not much use. So ultimately, the practice of some kind of technique is really just the beginning. It's training ourselves to be present and to pay attention and to be conscious. And it's transformative. Our awareness of ourselves and of ourselves in the world expands.
So I want to just tap on what you just said, Brock, because what you're really talking about, and I'm loving this conversation, is about how to take that meditative practice, that mindfulness, heedfulness, awareness out into every moment of our life. And I have a lot of clients that come to me and they want to learn meditation, but they want to learn meditation for the 10 or 15 minutes that they can give to meditation. And then they think that they can go through the rest of their life and deal with the stuff, and then they'll come back to me a week later and go, whoa, all this garbage happened, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And then I bring them back to purpose. Did you sit? Did you take time to breathe? Even 5 minutes during your busy day. Did you breathe? Well, no. Well, how do you think it would have gone differently if you had? People don't know how to take that practice and then make it part of the 24/7.
Yeah.
They think it's a slice, just like, okay, now I'm brushing my teeth. Now I'm going to meditate. Now I'm driving to work. They don't realize that it's something that becomes the wash over your entire life if you allow it, and then it becomes the guidance system of your entire life.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if people go to church on Sunday and commit crimes the rest of the week, they didn't really get it. So if people are really deeply in touch with their own being, then they will become wiser, kinder people. They will also be more peaceful, more personally peaceful. And I think a lot of people get into meditation because they're trying to de-stress. And that definitely works. I personally, in rehabs and clinics, have put the little cuff on people's arm and watched the vital signs go, down more towards normal as people, begin to turn inward and breathe a little bit more deeply. It definitely works. But that's just a
the
kind
tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, that's just a side effect. It's a wonderful side effect. It will improve health, and it will improve all kinds of conditions can get better with more calm and more alert, state. But really, it's to transform our way of being in the world. It's to find our true self, and maybe transform is even the wrong word, because we're not trying to change ourselves into somebody else. We're trying to become what we're meant to be.
Right, our more authentic self, the truth of who we are.
I love that word. I love authentic. And I often challenge people in meditation to really find the truth of their heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are many things we don't know, but there are some things we do know. And if we can get in touch with what we know deeply, then we make better choices.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. So standing at a crossroads in your life, I'm here. So what you're saying is to get in touch with the truth of yourself, your true being, your true essence. And on Living Your Inspired Life, we talk a lot about that, about tuning in to your awareness so you can tune up, which eventually amplifies your awareness, and then it also becomes that font of inspiration, if you will, of where I'm going to go next. And so many, I was just talking to somebody before I came to the studio today, and we were having a conversation about this particular project we're working on, and there was such a mental, well, let's figure it out this way, and if we do these steps, and it was very it got very, as I was talking to this person, it felt very forced, and very rigid and very small. It just, everything got small, and we were brainstorming about something that was supposed to become expansive, so I think that in my experience, when we use a lot of our mental power to figure out the answer to the problem, it does tend to put us into a place of disconnection from our true self, and also a place of becoming, I want to say closed-minded, but that's not what where we stop listening to whatever the other options will be. Okay, so this is what I noticed. Now I want you to address this. When I work with people that are in crossroads, they want to find the solution before they've ever experienced the so-called crisis. They want to just gloss over the crisis and get right to the solution. How can I fix this problem? So so like when people are in their transition state, you've worked with a lot of people that are doing death and dying and they're caregivers. How would you address that issue? Because I know so many people that they don't want to look at death. They don't know what to do. So how would you talk about that?
Well, I think these crises are a gift, actually, because we're born into the world, and we're born into a family and a culture, and we pick up the agenda of that. Yeah. And that becomes our set of priorities, and then you're off. And then you go to school, and then you get a job, and you're in it. And really, like I said, people don't often get a chance to reflect on who they are really and what they're really meant to be doing in the world. So they don't really find their own true being, and they don't really find a deeper sense of meaning and purpose. And so they might not know that they're lost because they're on the same road that everyone else is on. Right. But it doesn't feel right. And it doesn't feel real. And so at some point, perhaps people lose a job, or they get a divorce, or empty nest, or cancer, or any number of things. And these aren't fun. I didn't like mine all that much, but I learned to be thankful. You know how they say that someday you'll be thankful for this? Well, that's actually true. If you stay with it and you get all the way through it, it becomes a gift. And the gift is that you're given an opportunity to find your base in your soul, in yourself. And from then on, everything is different. Family's different, career's different, everything's different.
And when you say base, are you talking about like your touchstone place, or your...
Yeah, the real ground.
The true ground
of your being. And I would say that that's an unusual opportunity in the civilization as we are currently experiencing it.
Actually, I think that's an exciting thing, yeah? I mean, it's exciting when we can get to that place.
Yeah, I hate to say, get on the boomer bandwagon, but really, we have a great number of people going through these things with a lot of support. There's a lot of community, and there's a lot of literature, and there's the internet, and there's, smartphones, and so people are going through things much more consciously than before. So I think a lot of these ancient issues are maybe not that they're going to get solved exactly, but they're going to be opened up, and they're going to get
That's
clearer.
what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I'm seeing
That's
that too.
exactly what I'm seeing. Is so that our generation is actually cracking all that stuff wide open, and like you just described, navigating it in a very different way than had been done by our parents' generation.
Right.
Would never have occurred to my family to look for support in any way.
Right. Mine either.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we've been talking about on Living Your Inspired Life is when you're at a crossroads to really try and be as present as you can be to what's happening and how you're feeling about it, so those feelings don't download into your body and create another dis-ease of some sort, but to feel that stuff and move through it and to get support. I'm big about getting a support team of whatever, whether it's, if you're having physical stuff, even if you're not having physical stuff, having good doctors in your corner and a counselor and a couple of sacred friends that you really trust that you can just be real with and not worry about advice or judgment or anything being thrown at you.
I want to tag on that.
All right.
When I was passing through my own intensive, crisis, one of the things that really helped us, it was sad and scary. My wife eventually died, and that was really hard. But it was also very beautiful and kind of perfect, and we had a lot of fun and joy. And I believe the way that we did that is we made a point of creating a good day no matter what was happening. And no matter what losses we were dealing with, we did our prayer and our meditation, and we had these, I'm going to call them ritual. At the end of every day, no matter what was happening, we would light a candle or some incense, and we would play some inspiring music, and we would go into a quieter, mode, and we would be present with each other. And we made she and I made a supreme effort to be there for each other, and I have to say, I think her journey was a good one. She had a pretty good passage. And I'm doing that now with my current partner, and same deal. We have made up our mind that nothing is going to ruin our day. We're going to have a good day, and we know how to make a good day. And it's a magical thing. It takes faith and strength to do that, no matter what's happening. But it's powerful.
So, if you would describe for our listeners how you create a good day, because I heard a little bit of ritual of meditation and prayer and closing the day with that, as well as a candle. But when you're in the middle of the day, Brock, and it's not looking so hot, what are some tools that you could suggest for people to bring themselves into recognizing it's a good day no matter what?
Okay. I should say I first learned this trick or set of tricks when I was doing psychotherapy in a clinic in a very poor county, in a very, very crime-ridden, trauma-ridden town. And I was dealing with people with mania and psychosis and trauma, lots and lots of trauma. And it was really kind of hopeless. And so I would ask people, when we kind of ran out of things to do in clinical terms, I would ask people, well, what was it that once gave you joy? What was it that once gave you peace? And they would tell me perhaps it was gardening, perhaps it was photography. And I would, do that in depth for some time, and we'd get a wealth of things that they could do that once gave them joy and peace. And so I say, well, the day that the day that you have a good day is the day that you win. The day that you have a good day, in spite of whatever's happening, is the day that you start to win over this thing, whatever you're dealing with. And so we would, strategize what are the elements of a good day.
Uh-huh.
And they're kind of like a shield. Like if I know that every day I'm going to have a moment of peace and calm and joy, I know I will have that no matter what happens, then it shields me somewhat from the crash of all the other things that land on my screen and my field.
Okay, so myself having just walked through a really rough process of going through divorce, mine personally, I can tell you there were days and weeks that if you had said that to me, I would have been like, I would have told you off. So so there, do you see what I'm saying? There's a place where the anger, the hurt, the shame, the fear, whatever it is so deep. You're at the bottom of the pit. And then, so how do you build out of that? How do you get to joy?
Okay, this keeps coming up in my mind. I think it's relevant, so I'm just going to say it. I was invited to speak at a 12-step workshop on the day of the 11th step, which is the prayer and meditation day. And it's kind of unprecedented because I'm not an alcoholic. It was a real honor. And I went, and I stood up in front, and I'm looking out at these faces of people who are really struggling with alcoholism and addiction, really struggling. And I'm there to talk about meditation and serenity. And it's all kind of absurd, right? Because, these are people who sometimes...
Oh, believe me, I would have thrown a rock.
Yeah. And so first thing I did is I said, well, it's not a war. It's not about going to war with your mind or your heart or even your body. If your knee hurts, move it. If you're feeling pain, then be with that. Hold that in kindness. If your mind is crazy, welcome to the human family. Let's watch it for a little while and see what it's really trying to tell us. And then I looked up, and lots and lots and lots of people. There were maybe, 70 people there, and many, many of them were weeping because they always thought that meditation was some sort of competition where you had to keep your body absolutely still, you had to keep your feelings absolutely calm, and you had to keep your mind totally clear or even silent. And I said, no, it's not a war. It's a chance to be with yourself. It's a gift for you. It's a moment of peace in the middle of, whatever madness you're dealing with. And that was an epiphany for me because I hadn't really realized what was the problem. Like, people start meditating and then they quit because they can't make their head blank. Well, I can't make my head blank either for very long.
Me neither.
And sometimes I got a financial life and a family and a career and stress and all that kind of stuff, and I'm aging, and so I don't get to have that perfect moment in the cloister, monastery, convent, whatever, where everything's totally peaceful and it's easy to meditate. I don't have that either. I have a normal modern life, and whatever that means. And for me, meditation it's joy. I would probably regret saying this, but I would go so far as to say if it's not joyous, then you're not doing it right. If it feels like a struggle, then you're not doing it right. It's not supposed to be some sort of conflict or struggle. It's supposed to be a chance to just rest in your own being for a moment and get a little bit of love for yourself and maybe a little bit of light on your path. And you can look at your priorities during a meditation. That's okay. You can. Well, what do I have to do next? And you can spend a few moments, with your breath, and then you can shift and pay attention to your feelings, and then you can shift and pay attention to your thoughts. It's good to know if your thoughts and feelings are crazy. That's a really good thing to know at the beginning of the day. My thoughts and feelings are crazy today. Maybe I should take it easy. So it's about being present with yourself. And if you have one moment in many lifetimes of being present with yourself, that's a miraculous gift. It's a wonderful thing.
Brock Travis, I'm so loving having this conversation. We're talking about meditation among a bunch of other things. So stay with us on Living Your Inspired Life on News Talk 1590 KVTA. We'll be right. And welcome back to Living Your Inspired Life. I'm Susan Burrell, and you're listening to News Talk 1590 KVTA. And I have in the studio with me just an amazing, wonderful guy, Brock Travis, and he's teaching classes. The class is called Peace Amidst the Change, which just makes me want to go, oh, thank God I can find peace when everything's messed up. And his classes are at the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living on Monday nights, the third Monday of every month. Right, Brock?
Yes, third Monday of every month.
And the center is located at 101 South Laurel Street in Ventura. And what time does the class start?
6:30.
6:30. So coming up on October 21st is a class, and people can just drop in, yeah?
Yep, October 21st. People come and go. That's fine. Just come. And we're going to be talking about making decisions, making wiser, kinder choices.
Wiser, kinder choices while you're going through the change.
Yeah, that's what's up this month.
And we're not just talking the female change of life. We're talking about everybody goes through that change.
Actually, I am beginning to realize that that particular one is a big one. I guess I knew that before. But all different kinds of life changes. Every kind of loss, every kind of crisis, whatever people are going through. And people are going through a lot right now.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that you're doing this work and giving these classes so people can develop skill sets and tools, and then also know, who to go to in need when they're in need. So,
yeah, let me tag on that a little bit. I actually do want to say that it is a skill set, and a person can train themselves in that. You don't have to be some special kind of person to be able to do spiritual practice. We ended up talking a lot about meditation, and I teach a lot of meditation. But really, we're talking about a way of life that allows you to be what you're meant to be and do what you're meant to do. And it allows a balance of being and doing, so you don't get so caught up with the doing that you're crazy and you lose your being, which seems to be kind of the common problem.
That's kind of almost a chronic situation for people, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that is. That's what I was saying about loss of self or loss of soul. People are so caught up in the urgency of doing that we've lost touch with our true being. And you don't even have to call it meditation. You could call it prayer. I really don't care. But people can build into their busy life and into their workaday, life, lots of ways of finding themselves again and doing what they really want to do and what they really meant to do.
And what I find is slowing down just a little bit it makes a world of difference. And I tend to move very quickly in the doing stuff, and it's taking conscious effort for me. It takes a conscious effort for me when I wake up in the morning and I start to run my to-do list to say, nope, first I'm going to have a cup of tea. Then I'm going to sit and I'm going to drink my tea and I'm going to read something that inspires me, and then I'm going to be quiet with that and just be with that and make sure that I do that a couple times during the day of just checking in with myself. Otherwise, I mean, my feet hit the ground and I'm running for the rest of the day and exhausted by the end of the night.
Yeah. Okay. Let's. A couple things I want to tweak. One thing I want to tweak is the idea that if it's not joyous, then you're not doing it right.
Okay, and that's addressing meditation that we were talking about.
Yeah. Back to meditation for a second. I do want to say that ultimately it will be joyous and peaceful. But if you're in pain, that's the meditation. If you're trying to be present with yourself, and you just, broke up with somebody, or you just found out that you're sick, that's the meditation. You don't have to set that aside and distract yourself with some sort of, go to my happy place process.
I'm so glad you're saying that.
It's really with being with what is.
Being with what is.
And that's the peace. Peace does not come from trying to get away from our pain, from trying to get away from our fear. It actually comes from going to it and embracing it and letting it be transformed. Like for instance, if you have grief, for instance, and you let yourself embrace it and feel it fully, bring your mind to your heart and feel the grief and let yourself weep, then it will flow and it will pass. If you fight it and you try to get away from it, then it might get stuck and it might stay a long time. So, I'm going to call it meditation, but we could call it prayer. We could call it, anything you want. But if you just take a moment in the course of a day and let yourself be with yourself and feel your feelings and watch your thoughts and kind of get in touch with your true being again, that's a great thing. And if you like tea, then tea is a really good way to do that. If you like gardening, then gardening is a really good way to do that. I personally like to walk on the beach or in the hills or by the lake, and I'll find a rock to sit on and I'll pause for a moment and watch the water and breathe a little bit and just sort of, feel my feelings and think my thoughts. And I'm not at war with my thoughts. I'm not trying to get my mind to shut up. That seems to be kind of a no-win situation. I know it's very popular, and I really don't want to argue with any of the traditional approaches to this, but if I can just watch my thoughts as they are, I find they get quieter on their own. They settle, and I become more peaceful, much more peaceful than if I try to go to war with my life as it is.
Well, and what you were talking about earlier of the fighting the idea that if I'm meditating, my mind needs to be silent. I have yet. I mean, maybe I've had one minute in all many years I've meditated where maybe my mind was completely silent. Other than that, there's all that stuff going on. And I just consider that being human. I don't think there's a right or wrong. Let me just say this. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to meditate or to go within and tap into your true self. There is no right or wrong way. There's a myriad of ways.
Okay, it's in my mind, so I'm going to tell us a little story. One time I'm down in South Texas and I'm driving my little California Honda Civic, and I'm on the highway, and it's kind of a rainy day, and some boys in a van pull up in front of me and stop. And the idea was that I would hit them and they would collect the insurance. But I actually swerved around them on the left, and that was good. And then they did it again, and I couldn't get around them on the left, so I had to go. I couldn't get around them on the right, so I had to go into the middle between the two lanes, and I'm in this grassy, swampy area, and my car's doing 360s, and all of a sudden I'm on the other side of the freeway, facing the wrong way, and then the car's just kind of spinning, and I don't know what to do.
Wow.
They always say turn into the curb, turn into the skid, or turn into the, whatever's going on. I never remember what that means. I don't know what to do. So what I did is I let it go and I let it be. And somehow I made the right moves and we ended up facing the right direction and nobody got hurt. Now, that's what I mean when I say you're going to need wisdom and kindness in the middle of an accident, or you might need it in the middle of an argument. It's not just something that we do because we practice a certain kind of meditation technique once a day. It's a way of being. It's a way of being able to access love and light as needed. And that I think that's what meditation is really meant to be.
And you said earlier it's a gift for yourself. So that sounds like a huge gift right there.
Yeah, saved my life. Saved my life and my partner's life.
Yeah, that's amazing. So now what it sounds like we're talking about is a conscious practice of loving kindness, starting with yourself.
Oh, well, there is a practice called metta. It's an ancient Buddhist practice of loving kindness to all beings, starting with yourself, then the friend, then the stranger, and then the enemy, and then all beings. And this is the practice by which Maitreya, who was once a very humble bodhisattva, becomes the successor of the Buddha, by practicing unconditional goodwill and kindness and friendliness to all beings, boundless goodwill, boundless kindness, boundless friendliness to all beings. And this really starts with ourself. If you cannot love yourself, then it's very hard to give it.
Yeah, I used to have, when I would make a mistake, I would become so upset with myself that, I would tell people, you don't have to tell me that I made a mistake. I got it. I can punish myself 10 times harder than you will ever. So please don't criticize me or tell me what you thought about my mistake. I got it. I'm already doing the mea culpas about it and being upset. And it took a long time for me to get to a place of loving kindness within myself. And I think that that's the most important thing to do first. That's why we talk about on Living Your Inspired Life, you tune in and then you tune up. You become a happier person because you're tuning in, because you're checking in with yourself, because you begin to put your attention, and this is not a selfish thing, right? We're not talking about being selfish. We're talking about putting our attention on ourselves so we can become the thing that we already are, which is this kind and loving person. We've just put junk on top of it and forgot.
I'm glad you said that. So we can become the thing that we already are. I actually find that the effort to be more loving to myself doesn't work for me. For me, what works is letting myself go to the truth of my heart, whatever that happens to be. Sometimes it's pain. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's joy. Whatever it is. Sometimes it's peace. If I can be with the truth of my heart as it is this moment, then I will have more peace and my choices will be kinder and wiser. Not because I'm trying to be kinder or wiser. That's just another chore. We already have enough doing to do. I don't need to add another layer of effort on top of that, and I certainly don't need another layer of judgment on top of that
Right.
because I'm failing in the effort that I was trying to be wiser and kinder. If I just allow myself to bring my mind to my heart, find my breath, and let myself know what I know, and let myself feel what I feel, and thus in that way find the truth of my heart. There are many things I don't know. There are some things I do know, and in the moment I tend to know what I need to know.
Oh yeah.
And if I work from that, it's free. It flows, and I don't have to strive for it. And it's taken me. I know I'm pushing 60. It's taken me, a lifetime to come to this realization. I've had a few breakthroughs here and there, but I'm coming to the point where I really, I don't want to be stressed all the time anymore. I'm aware that will actually shorten my life, and I certainly don't want to be afraid. I don't want to live in fear anymore. And I want to be at peace, but I don't want that to be some sort of war with myself where I'm trying to get myself to, be more peaceful. I just want to come home to my real self, to my soul. I want to rest in my own being, and I want to act from that state. And I don't do this perfectly, but I'm very serious about it, and it can be done. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And really, I think that really is the way to pass through these crises. That I love this concept of crossroads, actually, because a crisis, as people know, can also be an opportunity. So if you see the crossroads as an opportunity to really shift, look at a crossroads. There's a vertical, axis, and there's a horizontal axis, and here we bopping along on our way. We actually can shift and go a new way. And it doesn't mean you have to drop all your obligations and responsibilities. It means that you'll approach them with more compassion, more consciousness, and that transforms everything.
And I would invite new eyes, maybe, huh?
Yeah.
Seeing things a little differently.
Yeah.
And I like what you said is you don't have to drop all your obligations in your life because you've decided you want to make a change. Some people think that that's what has to happen, or that is seemingly what happens that wakes them up. Like in the idea of the empty nest people. The kids are suddenly gone. I have a couple clients I'm working with. They just like woke up one day and went, oh my gosh, all our kids are gone. Now what? So it seemingly seems like something's come up to cause you to make that change. That seems like everything's fallen away, and yet it hasn't. It's just now there's opportunity and a huge space or a huge place for you to make another choice. You get to choose something else now.
Okay, let's talk about emptiness. Actually, that's a huge one.
Especially right now with all the baby boomers.
Yeah, it sometimes doesn't seem as important as a loss of a career or a divorce or a death or cancer or something like that. But actually, it can be devastating. Okay, so I just want to say that the same force that drew you into the work of being a mom or a dad is the same force that drew you into this world in the first place.
Ooh,
and
that's good.
If you trust it, it will call you to the next work.
That's really good. Say it again.
The same force that drew you into being a mom or a dad is the same force that drew you into the world in the first place. It's your love and your light. And if you let it, if you trust it, if you turn yourself over to its care, it will draw you into the next steps. And it will show you the way.
I love that you said that, Brock, because myself, I don't always look at it that way. I look at something was A, taken away from me, or B, moved away from me. They chose to leave me. It was either taken away or they left me. This is how lots of people think, and it's not, we don't operate out of the idea that this is all part of a continuum, and it's a loving continuum if we really allow ourselves to feel and see that. And it doesn't mean that you've lost something or something's been taken from you. It means that, okay, now here's an open field for you to now progress into for whatever the next yet to be is, whatever the next expression of your life is going to be.
I think one of the implications of spirituality is that there's a greater depth. People live on the surface, because the surface is very compelling. You kind of have to. You have to take care of your credit cards and your car and, rent and all that, mortgages and everything. And so we're very, very drawn out to the surface of things. But spirituality and spiritual practices like prayer and meditation draw us back into the depth of our being that is creating all that stuff, and bringing all that stuff, to us and bringing us to all that stuff. And then we can actually then turn it over and make choices and feel feelings and take steps in a way that's much more peaceful than, oh my God, I am my stuff. I am my home. I am my job. And I think spirituality reminds us that there's a dimension beyond all of that, a dimension within us where there's a greater, I'm just going to say wisdom and kindness. There's a greater wisdom and kindness for dealing with all that stuff. And it doesn't mean we have to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Letting go doesn't necessarily mean getting rid of. It means allowing it to be. Letting go means let it be. Let it be what it is. Let it go as it will.
You mean, and not figure out what you got to do with it or fix it or anything?
Yeah, to respond appropriately to the demands of the moment, to meet the need of the thing that is in front of us.
Uh-huh.
And I don't have to impose my agenda on everything that's in my world. I can move through it and let it pass and let it shift, and I can be with it in a way that works. And what I'm trying to say here is that spirituality reminds us that there's a perfection and a beauty that guides us and supports us.
So I really appreciate what you're saying, Brock, about that. And I know that there's lots of people out there, kind of like me, that if I got to look at giving something up, I'm digging my heels in. You can't make, there's certain things I'm okay with and I'm okay about letting be, and then there's other things like, never over my dead body kind of feeling, and those most likely are the ones that now I'm realizing, right, are the ones that I really need to address and take a look at. And maybe that's what I do need to let go of. It's hard. It's really hard to let go of my personal agenda. And I'm just saying. So what would you recommend for people like me when you run up against the thing that really is the thing that, okay, I'll let go of this and I'll let go of that and I'll let go of, and I'll just be with all that. But this one thing I'm not let go of. You can't make me, don't. You remember I have red hair, so, I kind of react that way. No is the first thing, and then I'll look at it. So what would you recommend to address something like that?
My clients usually appear, and they usually call me because it has to do with some kind of pain or fear.
The
or
pain
loss.
is something that you're attached to?
I actually think that's a gift. It's not fun. I don't like it. I don't like seeing people in pain, and I don't like being in pain. I'm not saying that we should seek pain, but pain and fear and loss are a gift in that they are showing us something. They're showing us that we need to shift. We need to go deeper. So people usually call me because they have some kind of loss in their life. Might have to do with recovery, might have to do with caregiving. It often has to do with life changes of all sorts. But at some point in the course of my work with them, it ends up being about light and love. Light being the truth of their being, the direction, their sense of meaning and purpose, their calling, whatever vision brought them into the world and whatever vision keeps them in the world. And then it tends to be about love. It tends to be about relationship and about the people that are counting on us and the people that we will be there for. And the pain just sort of, wakes us up, pops the bubble, brings us in to some sort of work. And then the work is not about the pain. So if I people will often say, well, I don't, like what you said, they're often resistant to
can't make me, don't
change.
make,
yeah. I don't really see that it pays to confront people, harshly about that and try to force them to change. I think it works much let me put it this way. Pushing people doesn't work. Pulling people works a lot better. So what I'm doing is I'm not trying to get them to change. I'm not trying to get people to, give up something. I'm trying to get them to find something, to find what it is that gives them joy and peace. And to me, that's not me trying to push them away from something that they're attached to. It's more me finding what really calls them, what really, really pulls them, urges them onward. And then I can be on the side of that and keep watch for that. And then they move through. They move through that point of suffering and crisis, and they're on their path, which they were always on anyway.
Right. So
you never lose your path. Even the crisis is your path. The shift isn't I'm going to suddenly change a new path and become somebody else. We don't really turn into somebody else. We are constantly becoming more of who we really are, more of what we're really meant to be. And pain is just a point of change. It's a point where something needs to be shifted.
Right.
And but it's not going to be a loss of your being. It's going to be coming home to your own being.
Brock Travis, I'm adoring you. I'm just adoring you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what's your website so people that are listening, if they want to contact you, they can get a hold of you?
The website is www.brocktravis.com.
Travis.
Yeah, BrockTravis.
And Brock is doing, I just want to remind everybody, Brock is doing a class the third Monday of every month at the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living on 101 South Laurel Street from 6:30 to 8:30. And the next one is October 28th, and you guys are going to be talking about making decisions, yeah? October 21st.
Yeah, October 21st, and we're going to be talking about making wiser, kinder choices.
Great. And I just want to give another promo out for this group that I just absolutely love. And funny enough, it's at the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living as well. Larissa Stowe, Shakti Tribe, she's been on, Larissa was on our prior incarnation of Living Your Inspired Life. So you can go onto the website, livingyourinspiredlife.org, and listen to some of the conversations Larissa and I had and some of her music. She's going to be at the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. They're doing something called the Spiritual Revival Tour, and Gino Walker is going to be there too. If you haven't heard Gino, she's, oh my God, outrageous blues singer and hysterically funny. She's a personal friend. I love and adore her. So that is going to be Friday, October 18th at 7 p.m. And that, again, is at the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living, 101 South Laurel Street, the Spiritual Revival to go and have a blast and get out of your seat and boogie. So I just want to thank Brock Travis again for being in the studio with me. I thank you so much. You are just a light for me.
Thank you, Susan. Really appreciate
You're
the opportunity.
welcome. You're so welcome. I can't wait to see what happens next with everything that you got going on. So I am just going to complete by saying, and so it is, namaste.
Do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? What do I want? What do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? Prosperity, prosperity, I claim it, I claim it. Abundance, abundance is mine, is mine. Love, love flows through me, flows through me. I feel joy.